Srila Prabhupada special. Welcome everyone for the special class on Srila Prabhupada. So let's start with our prayers at his lotus feet. I offer my respects to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. O Spiritual Master, I offer my respects to you, your servant of your Guru, Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya and delivering the Western countries. Panchatattva Mantra. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण मंत्र हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. So let's start with our class. So in the last class, we had finished up till that a temple was, a mansion or a palace-like place was bought by Prabhupada, and it was in Detroit. So, and we were discussing that how the place was so rich and it was so like a king's palace. And the only problem was that the outside, the surrounding area of that mansion was occupied by all the bad people like thieves or murderers or drug addicts. But Prabhupada was not afraid of any such things. And he said, don't worry, you go ahead, we'll go ahead and buy this place because I'm not afraid of the thieves. We'll do 24 hours japa and you invite all these thieves to the temple and let them chant. And even if they don't chant, just give them prasad and everybody's heart will be transformed. So Prabhupada never used to look down upon anybody. He never said that this person is bad, that person is bad. He'll always say that this person is in darkness or he's in ignorance. So if we give knowledge to this person, he will also become Krishna conscious. So now next let's move on, and now Prabhupada is gone to Toronto, which is like Canada, and so while Prabhupada is still continuing with his trip in Toronto, uh, he immediately receives an urgent telegram, and this telegram comes from Delhi. And he had been requiring an interview with that time Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So he got a telegram, the instant news that your interview is fixed and you please return back to Delhi urgently. So Prabhupada comes back in 1975, and usually whenever Prabhupada, wherever he'll go, he will be accompanied by his senior disciples. But when he goes to the Prime Minister's office, there was a very tough security check. And so Prabhupada's disciples are not allowed to go inside. Only Prabhupada was allowed to go and meet the Prime Minister. So 2 days before this meeting happened, the Bangladesh Prime Minister was killed.
Which
So,
year is this,
and
Mataji, again?
sorry,
Which year is this?
1975. So that time when Prabhupada met Indira Gandhi, that just 2 days before, Bangladesh Prime Minister was killed. And now there was a constant, news or rumor going on that next Indira Gandhi's turn. So Indira Gandhi was that time very disturbed when Prabhupada went and uh, goes and meets her. So, but but Mrs. Gandhi, but she could have avoided it, but then she had already promised that I'll promising that I'm meeting you. So that's why she gave an appointment. And Prabhupada went. And Prabhupada had actually a long list of things that he wanted to ask Mrs. Gandhi. And so, but the main thing that he wanted from her, because she was in the power, she was in the topmost position. So she wanted that permanent visa can be given to his disciples because they were all foreigners and they were working in India, and they had every 6 months, you have to go back if you're not a permanent visa holder. So he wanted that his disciples should be given permanent visas and a long list of how a politician should run the country according to Vedic rules and regulations. So he wanted to discuss a lot of things, but then he saw that Mrs. Gandhi was in a lot of anxiety. She looked very worried because this news was going around that next turn would be Indira Gandhi, that she will be assassinated. So Prabhupada then, he couldn't spend much time with her and he left, and he gave both of them accepted each other's respect, and Mrs. Gandhi stood up in honor of Prabhupada and she greeted him, and then he left the office. So now Prabhupada is in India, and he, as a normal course of routine, Prabhupada used to get reports from his, uh, American disciples, that how, the book distribution is taking place. So Prabhupada gets a report from Los Angeles that we are working day and night, and we will be, Prabhupada had instructed them to print 17 volumes of Bhagavatam. So when he got the news that, they're getting printed, so Prabhupada was extremely pleased by the sincerity of his disciples. So in the last class, I was mentioning that how this organization which prints the books are called BBT, Bhaktivedanta Big Book Trust. And Prabhupada had formed this. So now BBT was in Los Angeles and it had become full-fledged like a big press. And it had dedicated team of managers, editors, proofreaders, artists, photographers, you know, technicians. So if you have opened books from ISKCON, if you have seen uh, Bhagavad Gita, or anybody has got Bhagavatam at the house, if you open the book, have you seen the quality of the pictures that are present there? Anybody? Have you seen the photographs that are inside Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam? Anybody has seen? So you would be seeing that it is amazing quality, the quality of the paper, the quality of the print. So I don't know how many of you are new, but all those pictures that you see in Bhagavad Gita, or if any of you has Srimad Bhagavatam, actually all the pictures are paintings. They are painted by Prabhupada's disciples. So Prabhupada actually taught his disciples how to paint. So these kind of pictures that are available in the books which are written by Prabhupada, all the paintings inside are actually handmade by all his disciples. And then they were printed later on and put in the respective books. So all of them, nothing is taken as a print out from somewhere else. They're all actually hand paintings, right? So BBT had started working, and now variety of languages books were getting, like Bhagavad Gita also. It's not just in one language. It is not in India, in international languages like Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish, Russian, so many. Even Prabhupada's time only, the books had already started getting translated in different languages. So that was the power of, how Prabhupada, he was such a powerful preacher, he was such a powerful personality. So now Prabhupada from India, he goes back to, again, his touring starts, and now he goes back to, this time he goes back to Mauritius. And so the prime minister, goes and meets the prime minister of Mauritius. And as a friendly gesture, prime minister, gives his car to the driver and, to Prabhupada that you can use the car and, travel around in Mauritius. So, however, while traveling, Prabhupada, along with few disciples, he met with an accident. So, what happened? They were driving, and there was another car which was running parallel, and they were drunkard. Husband wife was there. So, Prabhupada's car, he was not driving; he was sitting at the back seat. It got hit by another car. So, in the entire experience that is, explained in the book, we see that how Prabhupada remained very quiet. He did not scream, he did not shout, he did not lose his control. Like how, when something like this comes in our life, we become so, frantic. We become so disturbed. But Prabhupada was not disturbed. He was very sitting peaceful in the car. So finally, when the accident thing gets over, he goes back to the temple in Mauritius. And after a very long time, when all the dressing and everything was done, so then Prabhupada finally speaks and he said, as soon as you accept this material body, there'll be so many difficulties. So you see, we were sitting in the car peacefully, and the very next moment, a crash happens. But it is Krishna's mercy that we nothing happened to both only the car got destroyed, but nothing happened to the people sitting inside the car. So Prabhupada's trust in Krishna was so strong, and he was so composed. He did not get disturbed by even when it was such a severe accident that both the cars got totally destroyed. And now, after Mauritius, Srila Prabhupada takes a trip to Africa. And actually, Africa also, the preaching was very difficult because the language issues. There, the people don't know English. So the mode of communication is extremely difficult. Anyways, Prabhupada stayed in Nairobi, that is in Africa. And but then, again, he gets a telegram from India that in Bombay, when you remember we were discussing how it was so difficult to acquire the land in Bombay. The landowner was cheating, and he was playing all kind of tricks, and he was not handing over the land. So finally, the land was acquired, and temple construction started. So now here, while Prabhupada was in Africa, he got this news that a lot of mismanagement is happening, and the building material, construction material is getting stolen from the property, and some conspiracy between worker and storekeeper and chowkidar. So when Prabhupada heard this, he became so miserable. He became so sad that, he stopped even translating. He stopped even eating food. So we see that he was thousands of miles away from India, but he was feeling the pain. He was such an upright person. He never liked, that he will always say, this is Krishna's money. This is not our money. This is not our property. It is Krishna's property. So how can somebody steal Krishna's property? So he was very emotional and very, very, he will get very disturbed when he will hear such things. So soon he reaches Bombay, and, he removes the engineer from the job whom he held responsible for this poor and slow work. And he was also, conspiring and stealing building material. So Prabhupada stayed there for great part of November, and then in front of him, construction progressed very quickly,
Sorry,
and
Prabhupada stayed there, Mataji?
for a great part November. He came in October, na? So almost entire part of November he stayed, and construction in front of him progressed quite quickly. And he didn't want any kind of compromise on the quality. He wanted it to be a beautiful, like a jewel, like an edge piece of jewelry. So he wanted the temple to be as beautiful as like a piece of jewelry, so that people from all over India would want to come and stay. So Prabhupada would always say that if we are dependent on Guru and Krishna, then our progress is confirmed. It's only thing we think I am doing things. But if we start, you know, all the time saying, all the time thinking that I am not doing, it's Krishna who is making me do everything. So then our dependency on Krishna is complete. We are completely dependent on Krishna. And then Krishna will take charge and then he will do things for us. Right? Like how in Bhagavad in Mahabharat war also we see that how Arjun was totally dependent. He totally surrendered to Krishna. And then Pandavas won the war, right? So after staying in India for some time, Prabhupada again starts traveling, and so he goes to a couple of places. He goes to Melbourne, Auckland, Fiji, and after that he goes to Hawaii, and he starts working on the eighth canto. So basically, in Bhagavatam, there are 12 cantos, like 12 books, 12 volumes. So then from he reaches Hawaii, it was a very peaceful place and he wanted peace of mind, nobody disturbs him. So he started working on the eighth canto of Bhagavatam. So he would often say, I can finish this translation very quickly, but I have to present it to the understanding of a simple man. So, like you and me who don't know this Vedic knowledge. So, Prabhupada would say that I want to, I want to give the essence. I don't want to change the, what do you call it, the juice of the scriptures. But I would like to make it very simple in words. So, here are a few, things that I noted it down that whenever Prabhupada, if you read a Prabhupada book, there are a couple of things which Prabhupada would always take care. Apart, of course, the translation. Prabhupada's book was like a proper package of which contains so many things, not just the translation. So first, he would always include commentaries of previous acharyas. So it's not that I will say that no, no, this is my understanding, this how I feel. No, no. He will always quote previous acharyas because he always gave respect to them. Second, he would always speak about false teachings of false gurus or bogus yogis who will say, that I'm God or I'm an incarnation of God. So Prabhupada was so against such people. So any book that you pick up, these points will always be there in Prabhupada books. He will also mention, third point, he will also mention about government policies. And Prabhupada would say that government is making such policies that people have to leave their simple village life and they're forced to come in the cities and work in factories. As I mentioned earlier also that Prabhupada always say that the village life is the best life where you have a small house, you have a cow, you grow your own crops. But he says the government is making such bad policies that people are forced to leave their simple village life, and they have to come and work like, you know, like a donkey in the factories. Because when a person is working hard day after day, day and night, then his spiritual life, you know, gets totally destroyed. So that is why Prabhupada would always say that we should live simple lifestyle where we don't have too much of money and cars and entertainment and this and that because then we'll forget Krishna, right? So that's why he would in his books he would always mention that how government policies force people to leave the village life, simple life, and they have to come and work in the city, and then their entire spiritual life gets spoiled. He will also say that how human society is degrading. There is so much of open sex. And there is latest fashion. People feel very fashionable when they're drinking, liquor, and so many things people are exploring, and even the youngsters.
Sorry, Mataji, can we just go back a little bit?
Yeah, so he was saying that how human society is degrading, that how uh, people are they're very liberal about talking about sex, and latest fashion is different kind of intoxications and drugs. Crime rate is increasing because of all these things. How this is how he was showing that how society is slowly, it's going down. And he would always talk about meat eating and animal slaughter. So he'll say that if cow cannot give milk, so people will send them to the slaughterhouses, and where the cows will be killed and they will be eaten as meat. So every book, any translation, Prabhupada would always. So he was not just giving, uh, knowledge of Krishna's words, but at the same time, he was also through his translations making people aware of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, and what is bad. How should we lead an ideal life? How should we, live our life so that we always remember Krishna? So Prabhupada's writing always, his books would always, even any book, if you're able to read, and if in future we will be able to read together Prabhupada books, then you'll see that how Prabhupada would always talk about these basic things. And in few of the books, he also spoke about the threat of nuclear bomb. Yeah. So this is generally, I took out few points, I gathered few points, and I noticed, and I thought I'll share with you that how Prabhupada books are packed with so many different things. So so right now Prabhupada is in Hawaii, and now he moves to Los Angeles in America. So many years back, after New York, the second temple actually was Los Angeles. Yeah. So, but now the community of devotees was huge, and they had constructed a beautiful temple, and it was grand with beautiful Krishna paintings. So he Prabhupada wanted to visit there, and the deity's name was Rukmini Dwarkadhish in Los Angeles. That's the name of the deities, Rukmini Dwarka. So Rukmini, we all know, is Lord Krishna's wife, and Dwarkadhish, he is the king of Dwarka. So that is why this temple's name was given as Rukmini Dwarkadhish. And then he also visited something called a Fate Museum. So Fate Museum is what I don't know how many of you have visited Mayapur and uh, other places. I can't recall. Yeah, mainly Mayapur only. Uh, they you will see these 3D dolls. Like background will be like a painting, and in front of that you will have 3D figures like
Mataji, can
statues.
you show a photo?
Yeah,
Which
yeah, I have.
can
I'm just sharing a photo. So
can you
then,
share that and then explain? It's a little easier, Mataji, to connect.
okay,
I have
okay,
also not seen that, no?
okay. I'll just show. This is called actually the true word which is there is dioramas. It is they are actually called dioramas. I'll just type it. So these what happens? The background will be like a painting, and in front of that there'll be like statues. It's like an art of doll making. So Prabhupada's disciples were also trained in this art. And special museum actually is all currently also it's there in Los Angeles. And this is one of its own kind where the entire Vedic, uh, you can see like a story there
Sorry,
on.
Mataji. Prabhupada taught his disciples to make dioramas. Is that what you said?
Yes, 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 yes. Basically, it's an art which his disciples learned from Bengal. When Mayapur's temple was getting constructed, and some disciples came to India, and then they learned this art, and then they go back and they teach this art to other disciples. So you can see there's a lot of work which is involved, like how in Durga Puja you have these murtis, right? So similarly, these dolls, these dioramas are used for storytelling, for scripture stories. So there's so many. Actually, Mayapur temple itself, there are a lot of dioramas. So after the class, maybe I can share more photos. So again, Prabhupada keeps getting reports from his disciples about book distribution, that how uh, people are really have really started getting a liking for Prabhupada books, and people are reading his books, and distribution is happening at a mass level. So Prabhupada would say that, for the next 10,000 years, my books will be like law books for human society. Like, if you want to, as I just mentioned, couple of points that how Prabhupada would teach so many things, not just teachings of scriptures, but, our daily life, how we should lead. His books used to be packed in all those things. So that's why one day he said that my books will be like law books for human society. So you pick up a book and you actually, your life will change, your life will transform even if you read one of Prabhupada books. So now from there, Prabhupada goes to, from Los Angeles, Prabhupada goes to New York. And New York, we all remember, this is the first place where Krishna consciousness started. This was the first place of his preaching in West. And here Prabhupada attends another Rath Yatra festival. And he also tells them that how, so many disciples have come now, people who were not there when Prabhupada had, started. So he was telling that how his life was when he had come to New York from India. He had no money, no place of his own to live, no place to chant in the streets and hear about Krishna. But now look at Krishna's mercy. He has given everything. And now there was a big congregation of devotees who are loudly singing the holy names. And now we have grown so big, we are bringing thousands of souls to Krishna consciousness. So, but Prabhupada would always, looking at his health, he would always say that, you should manage things. I won't be there all the time. You should manage this place nicely. If you simply, sincerely work, then Krishna will give us intelligence. And, he can give us anything. So, only thing is, you should manage nicely. So Prabhupada's health was worsening, and as often happened, when he traveled extensively. As you were seeing, I'm putting names in the chat, that how Prabhupada would, hop from one country to next country, and constantly he was traveling. So then, when he was in New York, his health began to suffer, and he wanted to travel to many more countries. But he could not continue his travel, and his disciple would say, don't travel, just stay, sit down, and rest. So then Prabhupada would say that, he went very quiet and serious, and he just said that I want a blessing, that I want to go on and on and on fighting for Krishna. Just like Arjun fought for Krishna, I want Krishna to give me this blessing that I want to continue fighting, continue spreading Krishna consciousness to please Krishna. So at that age, with those kind of health conditions, still Prabhupada had this, inside going in that I want to preach, I want to continue this work. So 1977, Prabhupada is in Bombay, and Prabhupada was very regular with his morning walks. And while going for walks, he was accompanied by his disciples, and sometimes some influential people of society, will also join him for walk, like, some lawyer, professor, or doctor. So these people were interested in Krishna conscious philosophy. Say, so Prabhupada would tell them to come in the morning, join me for a walk. So even while walking, Prabhupada would be preaching about, Krishna. So here's a small video that I wanted to share with everybody. I will share. Yeah, so this was one of the samples I wanted to show, that how Prabhupada would never miss his morning walk. And he will always be, accompanied with so many of his disciples and some special people from society. And in Juhu was still going on in Bombay, and Prabhupada was still disturbed that work was happening very slowly. Each month, while Prabhupada was staying, one of his GBC men, you remember GBC? We discussed that how there's a committee of special senior people who Prabhupada appointed, that you look after all the admin work. Okay, so all the senior disciples of Prabhupada, they were making work from each country. They were like made as looking after the administration work. So one by one, they would come and serve Prabhupada as a secretary, and Prabhupada would give direct training to these special people to, because they were senior and they were Prabhupada saw that yes, they can become future leaders. So Prabhupada was also constantly training them. So at the same time, we see that there also he was disturbed that in America there was some disturbance happening in the temple because some conspiracy against ISKCON had started coming up. Some parents whose children had taken up Krishna consciousness, they filed a case against ISKCON, that ISKCON is brainwashing our children. And so they had filed a case, and Prabhupada was very, very disturbed with such things. So one of his disciples, he came from Los Angeles, and He was explaining the entire situation to Prabhupada, and or in fact, all the disciples were worried what is going to happen because of this case. But Prabhupada was very confident. He said, Krishna would protect you, and outcome would be in our favor. So, generally in ISKCON, we know that how Prabhupada's guru is known as a lion guru, like a lion. Prabhupada's guru was known as a lion guru. He was like a lion. He would strongly deal with people who were against Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada got that quality from his guru. Prabhupada had the same fighting spirit. He will not give up so easily. If people blame him, his mission, his preaching, he will stand like a solid rock and fight them. And also his faith in Krishna and scriptures was like unshakable. He knew that those who are against Krishna consciousness, they are those kind of people who can't accept, who can't stop meat eating, who can't stop gambling, who cannot stop drinking, or who cannot avoid illicit sex. So these are the kind of people who are against Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada would, in reply, Prabhupada would say that don't worry, Krishna will make everything fine. And he'd say, yes, if you say we are brainwashing, yes, we are brainwashing. We are brainwashing from bad habits. We are cleaning the brain from all garbage, which contains all nonsense things. So Prabhupada, he suggested to one of his disciples that what you do, you take our books and you take them to the court and tell the judge, please read our books before giving judgment. Tell them that we don't brainwash. We have done exactly as per the Shastras. You show the evidence. What does Krishna say in those books? We have not manufactured anything of our own. Whatever we are preaching is according to the scriptures. So we're not creating like in a lab, we are not creating anything. So after a few, after that, Prabhupada goes to Mayapur, and in Mayapur, he receives the good news that the court has declared that Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, is a genuine movement. It's not anything false. It is bona fide, and its roots are in India, and they are thousands of years old. The philosophy is thousands of years old. So the verdict of the court was in favor of ISKCON, and they won the case. And Prabhupada was extremely pleased. He said, my mission is successful. And he said, you see, I told you, trust Krishna. Krishna is the most wonderful person, and he can do anything wonderful. Yeah. So as I said, that this news he received in Mayapur. So he is now currently in Mayapur. And this is 1977 again. And Prabhupada's health, as usual, is not very good. And Prabhupada would always say that Guru's bad health means his disciples are not following the rules of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, Guru has to take all the path of his disciple. So what happens actually when person gets diksha? Like, when suppose in ISKCON we get diksha.
Sorry, Mataji, can you repeat that sentence?
Yeah, I'm just explaining why Prabhupada said this. So when a person gets diksha from a guru, there are certain promises he has to fulfill. And one of the promises is chanting 16 rounds every day without fail. And yeah, so chanting 16 rounds, that's must. And then, of course, no meat eating, no gambling, no drinking. So all those rules one has to follow. But if a, a disciple after Diksha, if he does not follow any of these rules, if he cheats and he does not follow these rules, suppose one day he will say, no, no, I am very busy, I will not chant 16 rounds. So then that responsibility actually falls on the guru, and then guru's health suffers. So if we, because he has taken a promise that I will take you back to Krishna. Guru has promised to his disciple, but disciple also has to follow rules. But if the disciple doesn't follow rules, then Guru has to compensate. Guru's health suffers because of the mistake of the disciple. So is it understandable? So whenever Prabhupada would, fall sick, he would also say that I am falling sick also because some people don't follow the promise that they have given. So once Prabhupada was, visiting in Mayapur, he was visiting his god brother and he was climbing some stone steps and suddenly he collapsed. So fortunately, one of his disciples who was close to him, he just caught him from the back. And so like this, Prabhupada's health slowly was deteriorating. So for he spent some time now is in Mayapur and things are going fine. He's been taken care. Again, he receives the news from Bombay and Bombay devotees are saying, inviting Prabhupada that we are arranging for again a big public program and can you please come? So Prabhupada, though not very good health, but he agreed. And when he was coming down the plane, he was so weak that he had to be picked up and he had to be brought on the ground. He couldn't walk. So when he goes to Bombay, he says yes, now improvement in the temple work was happening and Prabhupada was quite pleased. But now his health was really going down. And most of the time he would be in his quarter, he would be in his room, and he would come down only for some time to take darshan of the deities and spend maximum time in some resting or doing translation work. He even stopped his morning walks, and Prabhupada would generally rely on either homeopathic or Ayurveda. He never trusted allopathic medicines much, and he would always say that everything is to Krishna. If Krishna wants me to live, I will live. Doctor can't change anything. Doctor can't do anything. So Prabhupada would generally wouldn't take any medications. He will generally say, now my physical activity is not much. I don't go out on walk. I don't travel. So I should stop eating. He will say, I will not have lunch and rice for lunch, rice and chapatis for lunch. I will only have milk and fruits. So after that, somebody suggested that why don't you go for a change of place, not any temple of yours, but go to some other place to rest, and maybe that will give some improvement in your health. So then it was planned that we will go to Rishikesh, and Prabhupada's all bag and baggage was packed, and along with few of his disciples, Prabhupada leaves for Rishikesh because they said Ganga is there and you'll be close to Ganga and your health will improve. And actually, Prabhupada's health had started improving. And people who got to know that, oh, Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada is there. So many new people also started coming to take darshan in Rishikesh. And Prabhupada would become, he had become very weak. Actually, he had to be carried in a cart or a palanquin. I will share a video of Rishikesh just now. So, but still, he will continue teaching, preaching a little bit, and he would teach to his disciples about cooking. And Prabhupada would say that a lazy person cannot cook, and he said so. Nowadays, we see that how people are so much fond of going and eating in restaurants. But Prabhupada was against all these things. He said we should we should eat at home, our nice, clean, cooked home food. Home food is what he said. But nowadays, people are so lazy, they don't want to cook. So, but within a week's time, with the coming of monsoon, there was a big storm. So it was summer season actually, and monsoon was about to hit. And suddenly, Prabhupada's health took a drastic turn, and he developed swelling in his hands and legs. And he actually said, I think now the end is near. And then he expressed that desire that if Krishna wants him to leave the world, then let it be in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada calls his very close disciple. He was later on, this disciple became a guru, and his name is Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So Prabhupada calls him inside. He was also there in Rishikesh with Prabhupada. So he said, please prepare my will and make arrangements. We will immediately leave for Vrindavan. So trains were not available, reservations were not available because it was suddenly urgent. So they all decided to go by car. And upon reaching Vrindavan, Prabhupada, he reaches Vrindavan by car and he takes darshan of Lord Krishna Balram, and then he addresses the devotees. And then he gives a small speech. I will just read out that speech, and then we'll wind up for today's class. So Prabhupada says that if death takes place, let it take place here. Here means Vrindavan. So when Prabhupada spoke these unexpected words, some of the devotees started crying. Then Prabhupada said, there's nothing to be sad. It's not nothing new. Whatever I had to give, I have given in my books. You should continue this movement, continue Krishna consciousness. Whether I'm present or I'm not present, it doesn't matter. Like Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. Only my body will not be there, but I will continue to be present because one who has served the Lord, he lives forever. So I have taught all of you how to serve Krishna. So this body will go away, it doesn't matter because body has to go, but we have to die. But we can live forever by serving Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll now be seeing that how Prabhupada's health is slowly deteriorating. And I think just one more class and we will be winding up Prabhupada's this entire series. And if there is, we still have 10 minutes. If there are any questions, we can take those questions. And if there are no questions, I can share a small video of Prabhupada in Rishikesh, how he would go for the Ganga boat ride and he would come to his room and he would be sitting silently and he would still teach his devotees how to cook. So we can share that after the questions. We can take the questions. Please be short in your questions. One question we can take.
Sorry, Mataji, the one, two, three, four hands. So who
Ah.
to choose?
Like last time Kala raised hand, we couldn't answer her. So you can start with Kala, I think. She wanted to ask last time also.
There was some poisoning to Prabhupada Mataji or natural death?
No, it was natural. This is one of those rumors. This was a rumor. It was no poisoning was given to him. Yeah, yeah. There are all kind of rumors. I've also heard that, but he he passed away because of age and so much of stress. No, it was not poisoning.
Mataji, where is the Fate Museum?
It is in Los Angeles, America. But otherwise, in if you go to Mayapur and Bengal and all, you can see these kind of dioramas. Um,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. Next, who to choose?
You can take, I don't know, you can take Hemant or Akshnu, Akshu, I think.
I didn't decide, Mataji. You decide. It's difficult for me.
Okay.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. In US, there's some conspiracies. Also, parents basically they didn't want. Yeah, what was the reason, Mataji?
For
The
what?
by the parents basically lodged a case.
See, what will happen that people who join ISKCON, especially the brahmachari, especially who will not get married. So there are lot of devotees in ISKCON, boys, young boys who will become like a sannyasi. They will not get married. So, and they will also abstain. They will not also indulge in interaction with women. They will not get married. They will lead a life of a sannyasi. So this kind of lifestyle, even in India, many parents, no parents would like, because the parents would like their children to lead a normal life and get married, go to school, college, do some job. But when not all, but yeah, many of the ISKCON disciples of Prabhupada, they gave up everything. They gave everything for Krishna. They became like sannyasi. So that is something which many parents didn't like. So, but then it was not a brainwashing. Children were completely aware of what is good for them and what is bad for them. So they were not small children. They were like adults, 25, 24, or 30 years old. So they were not very small children. We're not talking about school going children. We're talking about adults like college and above. So as Prabhupada had said that if it is brainwash, I am doing brainwash from bad habits. Earlier they were hippies. They were like living life like madmen. And now they've become perfect gentlemen. So that was the reason. Hare Krishna. Can take Hemant. Sorry, we can take it next time.
Hare Krishna. Hmm. Prabhupada's family, Mataji, not Prabhupada's spiritual family, but Prabhupada's real family, are they still alive now?
I haven't checked. It's been like Prabhupada himself went away in 77. His children are there, I think. His sons are there. I think his sister also passed away. His sister Pishima also is not there now. I haven't checked actually. I haven't checked about their passing away. I don't think wife would be there now. At 77, in 77, Prabhupada himself was 80 plus, and his wife also would now be like very old. So I haven't checked, sorry. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Prakhar.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Namaskar. So Mataji, he says that so Mataji, I think what Prakhar is trying to say is when he was doing Prabhupada was doing all the translation writing work,
Yeah.
was he in some kind of dilemma when he was doing it? Whether this right, wrong, what will happen? Were there any fear in his mind that
No, no, absolutely not. He was very clear. He was absolutely clear what he was writing. Why should there be a confusion at a person at his level? We get confused. Why Prabhupada? Prabhupada was not an ordinary person. We are ordinary people. We get confused. Prabhupada was clear, crystal clear of what he was writing. He was not changing anything. See, his entire topic is Bhagavad Gita as it is. As it is means how Krishna spoke. Same way Prabhupada is translating. Prabhupada is not putting his ideas. He's not giving his own interpretation. He's not changing the meaning. Prabhupada is simply translating. And also he's adding the commentaries of previous gurus, previous acharyas. So confusion will happen when you try to put your own ideas. I think like this, so I will write like this. Then it happens, confusion. But if you are only translating, if you're what Krishna said, see now, see, look at Saurav. Saurav is translating exactly how I'm speaking. But if Saurav doesn't listen to me and he starts giving his own ideas, his own sign. He signed something else. What I'm saying, he's not signing. Start signing something else. Then he will be confused. Then there will be problem. But if he is translating exactly how I am speaking, then there is no confusion. Similarly, how Krishna spoke, Prabhupada translated exactly as it is. So no confusion. So is it clear? Thank you. That was a very sweet question. So thank you so much. We'll meet next week, whether Sunday or some other day, we'll let you know. And here's a small video. It's around 5 minutes. Those who want to leave, they can leave. Otherwise, you can, after watching, you can leave. Prabhupada was in Rishikesh and he was very bad health. So just I thought I'll share with all of you. Thank you, Saurabh. If you want to stay, you can stay. Otherwise, you can. Hare Krishna.
can we turn on the captions, Mataji? If there's some captions.
but no voice is there except chanting, Saurabh.
Okay, okay, Maharaj.
So this person who is with Prabhupada, he is Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Sorry, if you're there, you can just sign that much. The person who is with Prabhupada right now, he is Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was a very, very close associate of Prabhupada, close disciple. To him, he said that I want to go
One
back
minute,
to
one minute.
Vrindavan.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, the person who just is standing next, who's making chapatis, who's standing next to Prabhupada, no, glass person. And he is Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He is the
Sorry,
one who
glass person, Mataji, did you say? Wearing glasses?
like he is wearing glasses and he has a very big mole on the right side of his head.
Sorry, I couldn't see Mataji. There were two, three, four
Okay, okay.
people.
No, anyways, he is Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I have frozen the frame there. He is the one who Prabhupada instructed that I want to go back to Vrindavan. You please take me. And he was very close disciple of Prabhupada in his last days. So Thank you, Rasriti. Hare Krishna.